What's good, YouTube? Stone Edge Gaming here with a bit of a different video on our hands this time. Instead of seeing some actual showdown battles or seeing some let's plays, we are going to have our very first tutorial video in dedication of my girlfriend. She's always been a fan of Pokemon, watching the animes, collecting the cards here and there, just overall love. She's had a game or two, played a couple on like her friends and everything. She's always appreciated it, has her favorite Pokemon, hint Ivysaur. That's why week 2 of Pro to 500 was Ivysaur. But she's never actually gone into the next step, what I would say, the meta game, the actual competitiveness of battling and having fun building teams, doing actual competitive and strategic battles, which is where I believe the most fun in the Pokemon comes in. Because the biggest issue she has is that it gets quite boring and monotonous almost playing the story of the game, because if you're not dying for the story, it's pretty repetitive, grinding your Pokemon, doing these easy battles and everything. You're usually always set to win. I'm pretty sure I beat Ultra Sun without even losing a single, not losing a single Pokemon. I died a couple times, but without actually losing a battle. I went undefeated. It's just the games have gotten pretty easy and it's just repetitive and a lot of that. So I decided to want to give her a chance to see if this will interest her, and I made a tutorial video for her. Basically, it is going to be tailored to her. I'm going to as if talking to her, but anyone can be watching this video. If you're a random stranger who wants to get into Pokemon, this will work for you too. You don't have to worry. It's not just for one person. This has advice for anyone who's new to the community and wants to learn how to actually play Pokemon Showdown, basically. So, as you guys already heard me say, the name of the thing and what you see me on most of the time is the app. Well, yeah, I guess app, Pokemon Showdown. You can use it through the website or you can download it. What I would recommend you to do is download it. I'm going to put the link in the description below. It's going to be the first link. There's going to be a couple links, and I'm going to reference them each time. This is the first one you're going to need. It's going to take you to the Pokemon Showdown website. You're going to click right below. It says Play Online. You're going to click download it. It should be either for Windows or OS X if you have it. I think it even works for Linux, but don't quote me there. I don't know for sure. But you're going to want to download it. Once the downloader has downloaded, you're going to want to install it. It's a pretty quick installation. It's not a hefty program or anything. It should get in under a couple minutes if your internet and everything is fast enough. Once you have it downloaded, you're going to open it up and you're going to get into a screen fairly similar to mine. I decided to remove my little wallpaper so that way it's the experience everyone's going to see. Basically, babe, I made you an account already. Your username is always JSSECIA. If anyone wants to challenge her, you guys can see it. Maybe she can learn a little tips from you guys too. But I'll give you the password after. But if you don't have an account, you're going to want to click around here-ish. It's going to tell you to change your name, and you can put the name, and then here it'll say create an account, and then you can create a password and everything, and then you'll have your own account, which will be perfect. So then the next step basically is to learn actually the different modes of the game, learn how everything works, learn why we use Showdown and everything. So basically the difference between playing Pokemon Showdown and playing, let's say, online against a random stranger would be, if you'd open your DS right now and you don't play in the competitive there, you can want to use your favorite Pokemon, and let's say for you it'll be Ivysaur, and the next person can want to just have the most powerful Pokemon and Mega Rayquaza and just a bunch of other overpowered Pokemon. It wouldn't be fair and everything. You're going to lose every time. You're not going to have a way where you can actually play with the Pokemon you want to use and have it in a set environment where it's going to be able to actually compete. And you always have, depending on how you build your team and everything, because if you build a terrible team, even in the right league, it's still not going to compete well. But as long as you understand everything, any Pokemon will be able to be competitive in its right division. So basically, that's what all of these have. It always usually leaves you open on random battles. It's the quickest way if you just want to jump in. I'll show you right here. You just click random. It'll connect you to the game mode, and it'll right away it creates the teams for you. You don't even have to worry about it. And basically, it's just a battle against the other person. I'm gonna just quit this because I just want to show you how it works, the random battles at least. So then the next things that go on are singles, which is how I play. I guess I'll skip singles and go to doubles and everything. Doubles is just when you use 2 Pokemon at the same time instead of 1. That's where the official Nintendo Pokemon battles do. So basically, what they do is they have 2 Pokemon out, and your opponent has 2 Pokemon out. You still have teams of 6, but instead of using all 6 Pokemon, you only choose 4 of them compared to their thing. So basically, each team has 4 Pokemon, but 2 fighting at the same time. It would be this mode right here, VGC 2018, because every year it's a new mode, new Pokemon are to be used and everything. But that's not usually what I play and what Showdown is all about. Showdown has its own list of tiers and everything. So basically, what Pokemon Showdown does is it follows this other website that I'll link later on called Smogon University. They created their own tiers and listing of how the Pokemon are actually competitive based on the usage. So they track the usage of Pokemon on these websites and apps and see the more Pokemon they use, the higher tier it'll go, and the lower it uses, the lower it'll go. So for example, just because the Pokemon's on a low tier doesn't mean it's actually a weak Pokemon. That just means it hasn't been used as much compared to something that's been used over time. There's obviously exceptions to this. Like for example, if everyone stops using let's say Charizard, Charizard, Mega Charizard X, it's so strong competitively that it will be banned from the other tiers, regardless of if people stop using it. So it'll be forced to go up. So an example, let me show you here actually. Well, I'll show you later on, would be Mega Pokemon, like Mega Charizard Y. He's actually not used enough to be in a specific tier, but he's too good to be in the tier that he would be in, so he's banned from it and you're forced to play him upwards. So I can explain this more in detail later on, but basically there are 2 tiers that I'm not going to go too into because they're more kind of just everything goes, like anything happens there. So that is Ubers, which is just any Pokemon can be used, but you can't use more than one of them. So you can use any Pokemon, just one of each of them, and that's it. And then anything goes is basically just you can do anything you want. You can have 6 of the same Pokemon. You can do just one Pokemon, because you always have to have a team of 6. But if you want anything goes, you can just have one Pokemon in your team. It can be any different variety of stuff. But basically, the actual competitive formats that are followed more are, as it goes, OU, which is overused. And so, for example, some of the more popular Pokemon there would be something considered like Landorus, Keldeo, Heatran, Latios, and Bisharp, for example, are some Pokemon that are used in there. Then under that is underused Pokemon. They're slightly less used than overused Pokemon. And you can see Pokemon kind of like Suicune there. You can see Swampert. You can see Crobat. You know Crobat. You can see, Crocodile. He's another Pokemon that's used there. And even Hydreigon is another Pokemon that can be used in that tier a lot. Then after UU would be RU, which is rarely used, which is where you see Pangoro, which is the evolution of Pancham, which is the Pokemon you like. You can also see, Hitmontop. You can see Momomola. You can see Rhyperior. You can even see Cobalion sometimes in that tier. And then below RU is never used, which is even a step lower. And then you can see Pokemon like Steelix in there. You can see Feraligatr, you can see Typhlosion, you can see Mesprit, and you can see Vileplume. These are just some examples. The tiers usually get bigger as they go on. And then below it is PU. It doesn't actually stand for anything. I like to always think poorly used, but it's just PU because these Pokemon straight up stink. It's just trash and terrible Pokemon that usually are kind of the bottom of the barrel, and they're dropped even lower. And Pokemon like, for example, Raichu is so bad that he's in there. Ninetales is in there. Well, with an exception, it's without a specific ability, Ninetales will be there. So I'll put Tauros is in there, Mesprit is in there, Poliwrath is in there, and Avalugg is even in there. And then there's other things, for example, like NFU, which is not fully evolved Pokemon. That could be its own tier, but those Pokemon usually also drop into PU and sometimes even up like NU. But usually you see those Pokemon there. There's even Little Cup, which is just little baby Pokemon, but that's also slightly different. We're not going to get into those. The big 5 I think you have to remember is OU, UU, RU, NU, and PU. Those are the ones that are actually specifically ranked and everything. They're the ones that people follow and play by and team build. So another thing that's important, for example, is even though OU is the top of the, think of it almost like a ladder. You can always climb up it, the Pokemon go up, but they can't go down. So for example, if I want to play a team with OU, but I want Typhlosion to be on my team, and he's an NU. That can be done. I can put him on my team with a lower Pokemon. So you can have any Pokemon from OU, UU, RU, NU, and PU on your OU team. But if you're playing with NU Pokemon and you want to make an NU team, you can only use NU and PU Pokemon, but you can't use OU. So if I want to make an NU team, but I want Landorus to be in it, I physically can't do that. I would have to, because Landorus is an overused Pokemon, I would have to play in OU. I wouldn't be able to bring him down and play in NU, even though he's only one Pokemon. So then the next thing that you want to know is like type efficiencies and everything. And for that, I recommend opening the next link that's going to be in the description below. It's going to be this big chart, and I'm going to explain to you basically how it works. You'll be able to like quickly, while you're playing on the website, if you're blanking and you want to know what's super effective against what, you can use the website quickly. But I would always recommend having this open if you're new and want to memorize them, bib. And if you want to just always learn and refresh it, if you want to just take a quick look, it's always good, because if you do it through the website way, your actual opponent gets to know that you're searching it. While this, you can keep it hidden to yourself. I'll explain that more in detail after. But basically, this is the most important thing of Pokemon you want to know. This list just shows you what type of moves would be super effective against what kind of Pokemon. So for example, let's say the enemy had out a normal type Pokemon, so he'd be the defending Pokemon. If I wanted to do a super effective move to him, I would look on the attacking side and I would see that the only super effective move against a normal type Pokemon is a fighting type move. So that would do 2 times the amount of damage as a normal type move, to a normal type Pokemon, I mean. So if the attack had, let's say, 50 power, and I did against a normal type, it would actually have 100 power. But then on the flip side, let's say I had a fire Pokemon, and I did an ice type move, it would actually be resisted. It would do half the damage. So if I had an ice type move that was 50 power against the fire type Pokemon, it would do only 25 power. But then there's also, to the next step, if I'm not going too fast, it would be Pokemon that has 2 types, for example. There's never moves that have 2 types, so you don't have to worry about that. There's one exception, it's Flying Press, it's fire, it's fighting and flying, but you're never probably going to use that move, so don't worry about it. But basically, if you are, let's say, a ice type, and again, you're an ice type, and you're fighting against Volcanion, which is a fire and water type, your move is actually going to do a quarter damage. So it's going to, if you have a 100 type damage move, it's actually only going to do 25 damage, which is very, very weak. And then also, if you have a, let's say, a fire type Pokemon, a fire type attack, and you want to use it against a grass type Pokemon, a grass and ice type Pokemon, I don't even think that exists. Actually, Avalugg, never mind. I mean, what's it? Abomasnow. No. But yeah, if you want to use that fire type move against a grass and ice type Pokemon, it would actually do 4 times the damage. So if you had a 100 damage move, it would actually do 400 damage. And that's just if the moves itself. There's also these zeros basically mean immunity. They would have no effect. So it would basically, if I was an electric type attacking a ground type, with my electric move, it would never work. If the move is electric, it would never work against a ground type. Just like if the move was ground, it would never work against a flying type. It gives them immunity. It will always do 0 damage. Then everything else will deal 100 damage. It'll be perfectly fine and dandy to just deal the numbers that it was supposed to deal. Basically, this is always important to know, because you always want to actually make sure you know where your best opportunity for damage is and everything that is coming from. The next thing I want to explain is something called stab. It stands for same type attack bonus. So if your Pokemon itself is a water type and you're using a water type move, so for example, Blastoise using Hydro Pump will always be more damaging than, let's say, a Leafeon using Hydro Pump, because Blastoise being a water type as well actually gets I think it's a 1.5 times strength to the attack. So if it's a 100 base move, it'll do 150 damage instead of 100 for a normal Pokemon, which is why you always usually want to have something called a stab move on your Pokemon. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to actually jump into a battle. We're going to show you something. Did I have a team built? Yes. So I took the liberty, and to make this interesting for you, I built you a team based on the Pokemon you like. I'm going to build it as we go, basically, to show you how to do it quickly. And then we're going to go through there. So we have Charizard, Ivysaur, your favorite, Snorlax, Eevee, Squirtle, and Pancham. So basically, now that we're here, I'm going to explain to you how building the Pokemon works. So your Pokemon here will always have a nickname. You can always nickname it ever. And then you can give it an item. You can choose its ability. Usually they have specific set ones you can only choose between. And then you can pick its 4 moves here. It'll tell you all the moves it has. And it'll go up to a certain point, and then it'll say usually use this move, which are moves that it can technically do, but you shouldn't really run them. Like, you can, but like it says, it's usually useless. And then here we have EVs and IVs. It's basically just like your Pokemon stats. I've explained this to you in the past before, but I will go and explain it to you right now, so that way you can understand how this whole thing works. So basically, IVs are the Pokemon's individual values. They go from 0 to 31, 31 being the highest, 0 being the lowest. You always want your Pokemon typically to have 31 because it makes the move stronger. Like the number higher, it makes your overall stat higher. And the lower the number, the overall lower will be. So for example, his HP here, it is 78, but since he has 31 IVs, it's 297. Just like here, 84 attack, but since he has 31 IVs, it's 204. If he had 0 IVs, it would be, because of his level, it would be 173. But basically, then effort values are the strengths it gets from actually training itself and everything. And these can go from 0 to, I think, 252. Every time you go up by 4, this goes up by 1, I'm pretty sure, overall. So every 4. So you never want to do, for example, you never want to give him 3 IVs in something, because it'll be pointless. See, even here, it makes me go up by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 32, because they always have to go up by 4. You have a total of 508 to spend on your Pokemon, and then that's it. It's maxed out on its IVs. And then the last thing you need to know about the Pokemon's abilities and everything is its nature. So every Pokemon has a type of nature, and it's just basically another way to make it stronger in something and weaker in something. So, for example, if we wanted this Charizard to be super strong in, let's say, physical attack, but it doesn't have to be the fastest thing in the world, we would look for something here that had attack plus and then minus speed right here. So it would have to be a brave nature. It would make his speed actually lower, but his attack stronger overall. You can make a Pokemon have a serious nature, which changes none of them, but you usually always have stats that you care about and stats that you don't, for example, and you always usually typically want to have a nature that boosts your important stats. So now the next thing we're going to do is, as we're building, I'm going to show you the website I was talking about below. It's called Smogon University. The best way you can go on it is through the link I put in the below. I put it for Charizard, but you can usually just search up any Pokemon you want on Google, and you write you write just Pokemon and Smogon beside it, and usually the first link will show you pre-built stats a bit about it, like that are actually competitively viable and what most people are running, and it has an explanation of why it does it and what it's good against and what it helps you against to do, basically. So right now, for example, if you open the link, you would see the website for Charizard. It has it shows you all the different forms, base, Mega X, and Mega Y, and it shows you for the format of OU. These are the sets you can run. So this would be 3 attack and boost Charizard. Then you would also have Drought Wall Breaker Charizard. But I'm going to show you it's pure, just regular Charizard. So we're going to go to choice specs. Well, let's see. Yeah. So I'm just going to show you basically stat builds. So the next thing you want to see is the expert button at the top is a great way to just copy it. And then you can copy it and bring it from there to your list again. You're going to want to then import it, and you can paste, and it will have the Pokemon built for you the way it's said to, and he runs choice specs. So basically the point of this Charizard is that choice specs is an item that lets you only do one move, but it multiplies your special attack by 1.5. So if I want to use Fire Blast, it can only use Fire Blast until I switch it. So, okay. I think that's a good step for him. We're just going to copy it. I'm going to do a build for all your Pokemon, and then I will come back explaining them all and then we'll be right back, babe. I'm now back. We finished making the team off screen. I'm going to show you it quickly and explain some of the things again, and then we'll go to the next step, which is actually showing a battle, and then we'll move forward from there. So we decided to change Charizard to an actual guy that uses Sunny Day and has a Heat Rock, because in Pokemon, you always have to be thinking of the next steps ahead and combining and synergizing with your Pokemon to make it overall win. Because, for example, Charizard is a Fire Flying type. If a Rock type comes in or a Water type comes in, Charizard now has nothing he can do, and we'll have to figure out the next thing. So we want to always have something like important, some synergy in this team. And we always want to do the best we can. And yeah, it's not that easy to do with these Mons, but I try my best. So we gave him Sunny Day because Ivysaur, which is the next Pokemon, has a move called Growth, which raises his attack and special attack by 2 in the sun and 1 by itself. And if Charizard uses Sunny Day before Ivysaur uses Growth, it'll do that even stronger. So we made him a special attacker Charizard with a bunch of speed as well, so he can use Fire Blast, Solar Beam, which will also help in the Sunny Day, and Flamethrower. Then Ivysaur is a special attacker as well, but he's on the bulkier side. He has Growth, which is what we need to use for him. Synthesis to heal him. Synthesis is a move that heals the user by a weather-dependent amount. Sludge Bomb and Energy Ball, which are just a grass move and a poison move. They both do 90, and they just have other effects also. Another thing you want to know when you're picking your moves for your Pokemon is what kind of attacker they can be. So, for example, Ivysaur is much stronger on the special attacking side than he is on the attacking side. So I always want to look for moves that are categorized as special, which by this symbol, and physical are these symbols, and status are these. So we always want to try getting special attacking moves instead of physical attacking moves for Ivysaur. So the next thing we have is Snorlax. He's going to be used as our wall. Basically, he's a big, bulky guy. He's going to take a lot of hits and just try to do as much as he can. So his idea is that he tries to use a move called Curse, which, if he is not a ghost type, makes him have +1 attack and 1 defense and -1 speed. His speed is already super low, so it's okay. And we make his defense as high as we can, his special defense, and his defense as high as he can, because he's going to be eating as much as his. So he's always want to set up the move Curse, and then attack with the move called Return. And then when his HP is low, he wants to use the move Rest, which is fully heals him. And while he's asleep, he's going to use the move Sleep Talk, which lets him attack while he's sleeping, because normally he wouldn't be able to attack. Also, his ability is Thick Fat, which basically just makes him defensive against fire and ice type Pokemon, which normally he wouldn't be. Then we have Eevee. Eevee was one of the special Pokemon that got an Z Crystal, which is a type of item, which is good to show you because he can only use one of these once a match. Only one Pokemon can use them, and you can have all your Pokemon hold them, but you can only use one of them a match. It changes one of your moves into a new move. So Eevee's Eevenium Z changes Last Resort into Extreme Evo Boost, which boosts all of Eevee's stats. So that's the first move we're going to use for him. Let's change his ability. Ooh, yes, adaptability, for sure. Right? Yes, okay. So, yeah. We always are going to make him do that. He has Last Resort, Return, Quick Attack, and Protect. And he's just going to be another physical attacker. We have our first physical attacker actual. And then we have Squirtle. He's going to be doing something called spinning, which is another thing that's important to teach Pokemon players. There's these moves called Stealth Rocks and Spikes and Toxic Spikes, which can be played onto the actual battlefield themselves. Hopefully it'll come up so I can show you guys. And basically what happens is if you throw your Pokemon into the battle, depending on the type of item, it will damage them. So if there are spikes on your side of the field and you throw in a Charizard, it will take damage based on that. And if you have toxic spikes on the field, it will actually poison the Pokemon depending on how many spikes you have. The more spikes you have, the more damaging it is. And Stealth Rocks and spikes are a rock type move. So for example, against Charizard, it actually does 50 of his health because it is a fire flying Pokemon, which will do devastating amount of damage to Charizard. So we want to have a move called Rapid Spin, which removes the hazards, or Leech Seed even is another one that can actually happen. And it removes them from our side of the field so we can freely move in our Charizard. He also has Scald, which is just another special type move, Ice Beam, and Dragon Pulse, which are just 3 more moves we had to give him. We gave him the Focus Sash because it lets him survive an attack that would kill him. It will let him live on 1 HP. And basically that's in case if anything happens, we can always make sure to get him out. And then our last guy is Pancham. He is our last physical attacker. He's rocking a Life Orb, which does 1 1/3 extra damage, but he loses 1/10 of his health every turn. So he's basically just meant to deal out damage and try not to get hit himself. He's rocking Knockoff, which is actually a really important move in the meta. Knockoff is a move you should try to learn. It is a dark move, a physical, does 65 power, but it does 1.5 damage of the item holders holding an item, so it'll do 130, and it removes the item, which is an amazing move to use always. Brick Break, Gunk Shot, and Zen Headbutt. Brick Break is his stab, and these 2 are just 2 more we gave him. So I'm going to run through the team in an actual battle to show you guys how it works and show you why, for example, this team in OU won't be the best, because actually none of these Mons are OU themselves. Charizard would be the closest, but that's only if he has his Mega Evolutions, which will be something we get into the next round. So this is how battling actually works. You get to see the opponent's team beforehand, and they get to see your team, and you get to choose a leading Pokemon. So typically on this team, I would always recommend just leading with Charizard because he's our strongest Pokemon, and he has the ability to lead us off with a Sunny Day, which is a great move we should always start with. So he went into Malamar. So the reason I always recommended that you remember that type chart is because if you don't know what Malamar's move is, you can type in the actual description, !weak, and then spell the other guy's name, and it will show you what they're weak to, what they resist, and what they're immune to. But it lets the opponent know that you actually had to research this. So now he knows that I had to actually search what this is. So what I'm going to do is set up Sunny Day on my... No, I'm not actually. I'm going to just Fire Blast him, I think. And Fire Blast does 53%. And he gets Superpower, and it's strengthening him up. But basically, the whole point, again, is to remove his team from all their Pokemon. He set a timer, which puts me on a certain limit of time before I can do every move. So we always want to be moving fairly quick. We managed to get a kill. So... now, every type of attack, there's a damage calculator. I can put the link in the description. I'm not actually going to talk about it too much because I'm not fairly knowledgeable about it myself. But it is a calculator that can explain to you what kind of moves to use and when. And it'll tell you how much damage it does and against each Pokemon if you put in their stats. Because every move doesn't always do the same amount. It always does a set amount of different ability. Like different depending on like a roll. It's a type of chance almost. Frick, he killed us. Okay. So we're gonna go into Pancham because Pancham has knockoff. You can't knock off a Mega Stone. He Mega Evolved. You can only have 1 Pokemon that Mega Evolves for the thing. I should have told you guys that as well. That's another thing you should know is that you can have 1 Pokemon that Mega Evolves per match. Ooh, we're gonna lose a lot of Pokemon now to this thing, but that's okay because it's meant to teach you how this is supposed to work. So basically we're going to try to curse set up our Snorlax. See, it doesn't matter that because we're already slower, so that's fine for us, to be honest. We're just going to do that a couple times. I think twice would be good. But as I was saying, this team isn't like the most competitive either because again, see, these Pokemon are more overly used Pokemon that are like they destroyed Charizard in 1 hit. He destroyed Pancham in 1 hit because these aren't meant to be fighting in the same like category almost, I guess you could say. Oh, that might be... Okay, that's fine. See, Snorlax though, Snorlax I'm pretty sure is in UU, so he has actually a competitive chance against this here. Ferrothorn. We're gonna rest. Because our health is low. Rest basically puts us to sleep, but makes our health go bad. But now we're asleep for 2 turns. Oh, he's leech seeded us. So now would be a good time that we'd want to go on into Squirtle. But I've already set up our Snorlax so much that I at least want to do 1 attack before. See, like... Oh, come on, what's he going to do? See, he's not getting much damage out into us. So there's no... Like, it's fine to leave Snorlax in. If it were a Pokemon that is actually being really harmed by the Leech Seed, we would want to switch out into Squirtle right now and actually switch out into him. So now I use Sleep Talk twice. I know that he's going to wake up this turn, so we're going to actually just straight up return instead of risking the Sleep Talk, which wouldn't work. Ooh, okay. That wasn't friendly. Oh, but we only did that much. See? So we're not going to get that much out of this battle with him. So we're going to try to switch out into Squirtle. Oh, but switching out itself takes away Leech Seed. So Rapid Spin would be time to use there if we had the Leech Seed up. But he just took it away by switching. So it's now gone. Normally stuff like Stealth Rocks, though, they don't remove from the match until you actually take them out themselves. Ooh, Squirtle has eyes. He avoided that. Okay, Ice Beam. Let's just see. I think Squirtle's going to end up dying here. 15%, not bad. Let's try going out into Eevee. And now, so we have a Z power of Extreme Evo Boost. So it raises all of these by 2 stages. So let's see if Eevee can end up doing something with that. We need Eevee to be able to do some work. It's not bad. But again, he's going to recover so much. You can try it again. So I think Eevee will be able to get us 1 kill. Which would be actually pretty cool to see Eevee get a kill right now. Be protected. That's fine. We'll do it now. I don't think now Eevee will be able to get the kill because of the seeds and everything. But that's fine. Boom. Drop 12. Yep. And now we're going to get the seed. So Eevee's dead. But basically that's how it's supposed to work against everything. Obviously, again, like I told you, this team isn't something that's going to be able to put in too much work because of the conditions it's in against an overused team. If we were to lower the tier off, then maybe it'd be able to compete more. Like, for example, we have 3 Mons that are not even evolved once. They'd be able to compete in Little Cup, which is the lowest of tier, which is just little baby Pokemon fighting. But since we have Pokemon like Charizard and Snorlax, we have to go up a tier. So, okay, this is the end. Okay. So that's how a typical match would go with a team based off of the Pokemon you'd like against a very competitive other person. So next thing, babe, is I would want you to see what a more advanced team basically would be from what you wanted. So this is almost the same thing as your team. It has Charizard still and Snorlax. The biggest differences here, though, are that Ivysaur evolved into Venusaur, Eevee evolved into Sylveon, Squirtle evolved into Blastoise, and Pancham evolved into Pangoro. So I didn't actually change any of your Mons. I changed the moves up a little bit because they gained more moves and better stats as they evolved. But I kept all the Pokemon just to see that you can see the difference now in the same tier, which would be overused again, and how it would happen. So now we have... Oh, wrong Charizard. Okay, quick. Let's fix this as we talk. Let's Charizard. I want Charizard Mega X because I want to explain to you something called synergy as we're talking right now. So the biggest thing with Charizard X is that he has a Mega Evolution. So we're going to copy that, paste that. There we go. Okay. So basically, synergy is you base the team to work with each other, like I explained to you before with the Charizard and the Venusaur. So a good thing you want is always to cover your other Pokemon's weaknesses. So for example, Charizard is a flying type. We have a fire type. We have Blastoise, the water type, and then Blastoise is water, weak against grass. We have Venusaur, the grass type. That's usually why they always have that triangle going on there. So that's a good synergizing against the three. Now Charizard X changes his flying type into a dragon type. Dragons are weak against ice and weak against fairy, while fairies are immune to dragon. So what we did is, since we have a dragon type, it's good to make Sylveon our fairy type, because that way he can protect against Charizard's new dragon typing. Now, Snorlax is weak against fighting, which would be covered by Pangoro, and Dark is also super effective against Ghost, which is something that Snorlax cannot hit. Now, so Snorlax and Pangoro work together. The Blastoise, Venusaur, and Charizard work together, and Sylveon and Charizard also work together. So there's a lot more synergy based on this team, simply on the evolutions and now the Pokemon being able to attack more. So Charizard is our one Pokemon with a Mega Stone. He can evolve into Mega Charizard, and that lets him become a Dragon type. So he has Flare Blitz this time, Dragon Claw for the Dragon Stab that he's going to get, Earthquake for type coverage, and Roost to heal him up as he attacks, which is typical, just 3 attack and Roost Charizard, because Roost heals him up, letting him, in theory, battle longer. Venusaur is going to carry something called Normalium Z, which will, when we use Celebrate, it will change it into Z Celebrate, which will actually boost up all its stats. So Venusaur is much more of a bulky Pokemon we're going to use him for. So he has Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain, and he has Growth to heal himself too. So he's more of our special wall. Wow, so a Pokemon can attack on the special side and on the physical side. So Venusaur is going to be our wall for the special side of attacks, while Snorlax is our wall for the physical side of attacks. So, actually no, they're both very, very specially defensive. And I'm actually making Venusaur more attacking. Wow, I messed this up. Well, Venusaur is actually going to be a spec attacker, but that I can explain it the way I explained it. Snorlax is our special wall. He's also pretty good on our regular defense, but he's more of a special defending Pokemon. Sylveon is another, defensive wall this time. He's also able to be an attacker on the special side, but he can do both. So he has Hyper Voice for that, because Pixelate makes it Fairy, making it stab, Wish and Protect to heal himself, and Heal Bell to heal all of our party members of conditions. And then we're going to rock Blastoise. He, again, has the same purpose as he did when he was a Squirtle. He's going to Rapid Spin. But this time he has, Scald, Toxic, and we're going to remove Refresh, because we have the Pixelate. We have Sylveon to be able to help us there. So we're actually going to give him Ice Beam again. Boom. And Pangoro is our physical attacker. He again has knockoff, but this time he has Hammer Arm, Gunk Shot, and Bullet Punch. Much more strong on the attacking side, and again, help with our Snorlax. So now we're going to jump in with this team to see the difference in what a actual synergized built team can do in the OU setting. So now again, we can see their team, and we can see my team, and we can figure out who we want to lead with and who we don't want to lead with and everything. So he has a fire type, a metal type, a rock type, which is going to scare us against our Charizard, a water type, a grass type, and a fairy type. So I think our best bet, honestly, is to lead off into Charizard and Mega Evolve him. I want to get him Mega Evolved right away and see how we can go from there. So the last team, we weren't forced to play in OU. We could have played lower, but I just wanted to show you what it's like in OU. But now, since we technically have this Mega Charizard X, who is in OU, we have to play in OU. So he has a Fairy Flying, which basically means we're kind of screwed because we can't Mega Evolve right now, because that will hurt us in the long run. So what we're going to do actually is switch out into Venusaur. Hope he stays in, because Venusaur knows a poison type move, which is super effective against a grass type move against a fairy, but he probably knows that. So what we're gonna actually do is Z celebrate, which will watch. Oh, scary. We Z celebrated, so now all our stats are up. We're gonna try sledge bombing. We're gonna see how one sledge bomb will do against a Charizard. It'll probably not kill it, but we can hope. At least it'll get some damage off, and then we can switch back out. Let's see what he does. So I'm gonna put a timer. Oh, the timer is actually already on. So here it's telling me he has 120 seconds left to decide what move he wants to use against us. Let's see what he's gonna do. Sometimes people like to stall because they want to make the battle take longer and make us quit, but we're not gonna do that. He has 90 seconds left to decide his attack. Let's see what he's gonna do. I wonder why he's thinking so much there. He Mega Evolved. Oh, if we live, we're fine. Oh, that's fine. 284, 320. Okay. So he'll probably kill us, but in the odd chance he doesn't, I want to Giga Drain. Oh, we outsped. Wow, that did not do as much as I wanted. Wow, I should have killed it. I frigged up. That's what I'm going to say. Because I could have used Sludge Bomb and killed it, but now I'm screwed. So basically what I'm going to do now is go into Sylveon, and we're free to throw out a Hyper Voice. Because, yeah, we'll be able to live that perfectly fine. Hyper Voice will kill it. Now we won't have to worry about that. He's now going to go into Metagross, which is a Steel type, which is something we can't do anything against on our end. So we're going to switch out into Charizard. This will be the perfect time because Meteor Mash will be fine. Now, since he's most likely going to switch out into the Togekiss again, we're not going to use Dragon Claw. Either way, we should use Flare Blitz because he's a Steel type. But we're going to Mega Evolve and do that because it's the perfect time to Mega Evolve while I actually only switch on to Swampert. Which still isn't the worst thing in the world. Wow, he has Rocky Helmet on. So since he had Rocky Helmet on, we took recoil damage based on that. So now what we're going to do is the following. I want to keep him for the Chestnut and the Metagross. So we're actually going to switch out ourselves into our Blastoise. That way we resist his water type move, and we're going to throw a Toxic because I doubt Toxic will not affect Steel types since Steel is immune to to poison, but I doubt he's going to want to switch out into that. So it'll be a good time to get a Toxic on a Pokemon, which is a poisoning, which every turn the Pokemon is out is actually more damage. So see, this time it's 6. I think next turn will be 12, and it goes on like that. So let's try Ice Beaming him. Change that into Chestnut, which is actually a good read. And we got a freeze. There was only a 10% chance we freeze that Pokemon, and we managed to get it. So we're going to Ice Beam again because while he's frozen, he can't do anything. It's basically like being asleep. This is great because Chestnut was actually what we were worried against our Blastoise because he's a grass type. But now it's one less threat for Charizard to have to deal with. Basically. Now I'm going to assume he's going to go back into the Swampert. Yeah, I was going to say that or Metagross. That's fine. Okay. So I'm going to want to switch out into Pangoro because he's dark against his Psychic. That's fine. I wish Pangoro had a better move now, but that's okay. This will knock. Oh, actually, he now used the move called Trick, and he has our Choice Band, so he has to use Trick again. So actually, right now would not be a bad time to use Hammer Arm. No. I'm just gonna use Knockoff actually. Yeah. See, I don't want to overthink it. Knock off again to get the kill. Sometimes overthinking it will not help you in the long run is another important thing I want to let you guys know about. So Togekiss, that is our biggest threat for our Charizard. That and actually Charizard has no point anymore because Swampert is water. That's ground. Like everything can destroy our Charizard here. So we're actually going to Gunk Shot him because we have a. Ooh, we're attracted. Oh, but we still got it out. That's good. Wow, but he has a berry. So Attract makes us less likely to attack him. But we can see we're gonna try it. Come on. We got it out, so we're fine. So as you can see, there's already a big difference between this team and the last team, just simply having the Mons with the stats that are actually evolved and have the higher power compared to everything else. And now Hammer Arm from Pangoro should kill this. Sad to see Tyranitar go. But now we should be able to call this a good match. Because Toxic itself should deal enough damage to win this for us without having to play a stally game. And Hyper Voice, I think we should be able to get the win with just that. Obviously who we played against and everything matters, but it does do a big difference that this match we won and last match we barely scraped by. But right now we have a win on your team. So what I want to show you now is the ladder. It's just something else that's in the showdown. Basically, it just ranks you based on your wins and your losses. You lose points for losing and you gain points for winning. And the higher points, the higher ranking you are. That's the whole purpose of that Road to 500 video, because I wanted my rank to be so high that I'm in the top 500 of the whole community. It says it somewhere in the, right here, the ladder. I can look up on OU and it'll show me the top 500 players. And basically I want my score to be 1725 at least, so I can be in the top 500. But the next thing I want to talk about, which might be the last thing if I can't remember, is another type of synergy you want to build a team off of, which is building a core, is what it's called, and then building Pokemon around it. Or even another way to explain it is like a theme, and then having Pokemon built around it. So basically, this is an example of a team. I use it for my Road to 500, my first week. It is surrounded around Reptar, who has Sandstream ability, which makes sandstorms happen, which has a lot of different effects. So I used him, Toph, and who else was it? And I'm pretty sure I also made Garchomp part of it, but he was just another use of the core. So basically, the way this whole worked is that once the sand is up, every Pokemon that isn't a rock, ground, or steel type actually loses health, while those three types actually their defense goes up with the sand up. So we always want Tyranitar to be the first Pokemon out to set up the sand, and then we use other Pokemon to build this core against with. So the next Pokemon we built was Toph, who has the ability Sand Rush. So if there's a Sandstorm active, his speed is double, and he's immune to Sandstorm, which he normally already is. So, and he also has the ability Sand Force, which is these ground, rock, and steel do 1 1/3 extra damage to the sands, like in the sandstorm themselves. So we use Sand Rush to make him faster, and then We also had another quick attacker, which was Goku. He just was really fast, again weak to immune to the sandstorm, and quick and physical attacker. And then we also had another physical attacker, which was Garchomp, who had another speed and another ground immunity. So we noticed that after having so much speed and low ground thing, we needed other types. So we brought Birdhouse, which is a steel type, who isn't as fast, but he's bulky. So he's able to, if our Pokemon is not going to be able to kill them, we're going to switch into this guy and make a much longer game based out of it to make sure that he keeps living and killing the other team. So that's how a synergy team works, basically. And that's another way you can build your Pokemon. You can build teams off of simply just having a core of 3 Pokemon you like and then adding other mons to complete it, or you can make it off of just making sure you have coverage of everything. It all depends on what you want to do. There's so many different options you can do with Pokemon Showdown. If I can think of anything else I want to talk to, I want to think about it, but basically I made sure that you know how to build your Pokemon, your teams, which style to play for. You can always validate it, so check. So for example, this team, I want to say, oh, can I use an OU? Validate, this team is valid. But if for example, if I wanted to do PU, it says no because Charizard is in PUBL, Snorlax is in RU, which is like that. So it lets me know I can't use these Pokemon in that. So basically I'd have to play in RU. And it says it's valid for RU. That's the lowest I can play in. For this team, you can always check on that. And Smogon is a great website, again, to teach you how to build specific Pokemon if you wouldn't like to know, like if you wouldn't want to fine tune it yourself, you just want help with knowing what Pokemon are good for. It has amazing tips. It doesn't have it for every Pokemon. Like for example, Ivysaur has no builds because not that many people are running Ivysaur. They'd rather run Venusaur. So it's not always perfect for that, but it helps you get an idea of how to build Pokemon. You don't have to run them the way you want it. If I say, oh, I want my Charizard to actually be not as fast, but I want him to have more health, I can do it like that. And it's always up to you. It's just a great tool that helps you figure out what you should be running, because it optimizes the Pokemons to what they're good at. You're not going to want to have a Charizard with a way higher special attack than a regular attack. You're not going to want to make him a regular attacker. It's not useful for the Charizard. There's better Pokemon for the job if you need a regular attacker. But with these tips, I gave a fair and pretty long understanding of how Pokemon Showdown works. It's been a long episode, tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, babe. I hope everyone else that watched it, if anyone did, got any use from this and learned how to get into it, because it's actually really fun and a really enjoyable game to play. It helps you think, makes you want to go to the next step. If you really like games like chess and other stuff like that, it's really useful and good. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to watch some of my other videos. I'll have my series and everything coming out in the description. I want you guys to actually watch me play some Showdown, and make sure you guys let me know if you want to see more videos like this, more tutorial style, or if you want to see me go back into more of a habit of actually uploading day-to-day series and let's plays and just battles and everything like that. But until then, guys, this is Stone Edge Gaming signing out. Peace. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a like to show your support. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe and press that bell to join the Stone Edge Nation and never miss an upload. If you like this video, you can press the video on your left to watch our most recent video. Alternatively, you can press the playlist on the right to watch the series from the beginning. Once again, thanks for watching.